welcome to another episode of the Help Yourself podcast with me, Claira Hermit. And today's guest, he is a legend in the grime scene. It is director Roadz. Just like to make people feel a bit awkward with the intro, really.
I was going to give you an oi oi then as well.
I was waiting for the oi oi. Yeah. We were talking about it earlier because you say oi oi. Just whenever someone's got like the Instagram video or whatever, it's just like oi oi.
It's just the initial reaction, isn't it?
Never say it any other time in my life.
Same.
So mad. And then today I did it to you and you went oi oi and I was like, yes.
Someone else has done it.
I'm not the only person who's done it. I'm not the only crazy person who says oi oi. I don't know why either. It's the first thing that comes into my head in that moment.
It is.
Mad.
It's like that awkward
what do you
break.
do?
Yeah, it's like, hello.
Oi, oi. That'll fill the gap. So we're here today. This is Help Yourself podcast.
Yep.
And this podcast came about because I wanted to get some of the people that I love and respect, who have done amazing things with their lives, with their careers, who have achieved great stuff, and to kind of pick their brains about how they've managed to do it and how they've overcome obstacles and how they've achieved what they've achieved, in the hope that it can help myself and it can help the people listening as well. Quite simple, really, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm
got
looking
it?
forward to it. Yeah.
Got the concept? Wasn't that hard, was it?
No, it's all good.
So let's talk about you and how you started, because I think your grime grand's out there now, your nan, who's amazing.
Thank you.
And I think her, kind of doing her interviews and stuff lets people know a little bit more about you as well, because people might not have known how long you've been around, how long you've been doing what you've been doing, how you got your first camera, all of that kind of stuff. But then Nan jumps on the scene and she's like, I'm the one who brought him his first camera.
Yeah, it's like it's like telling my story through her.
Yeah. So let's talk about you. Let's get you to tell your own story now. So what made you decide, I love this music, I think I should start filming it?
Oh, basically, I used to, like everyone else, I was a fan. So I used to listen to pirate radio. Yeah. And then I got into DJing, started DJing, buying records in Rhythm Division. Mm-hmm. Ended up with a Saturday job in Rhythm Division. The best thing you could have, at that age, DJ, paid in vinyl, loving life. And a lot of the MCs used to come in. And ones I never knew from the area or whatever, I'd say to Sparky, who I set up Risky Roadz with, he worked in there, and I used to say to him, is that, say, for instance, Armour? So you put the face to the name. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, if I want to know what someone looks like, everyone's going to know what they look like. Jammer and A+ was out there, and Ratty was doing their little bits of filming and stuff as well. Yeah. It was but I want to show the whole scene and what I like. And that was where Risky Roadz started. So I went home, my DJ name was Risky. My initial was RSK. I put a Y on it. Yeah. That was where it come from. Come up with designed a little thing, went back into Rhythm Division, said to Sparky, Spark should do the DVD. I don't know how we could even start that. But he knew a lot more people from being in the shop. Asked my nan to lend me the money for a camera, and then Risky Roadz was born,
Isn't that crazy? Because I think it's one of those things where, I guess, you made the DVD, which is basically just a collection of different people spitting, and then sold the DVD, right? So that's kind of and it's interesting because when you think about the grime scene and not having music videos shared on an internet platform, the only way you could see music videos was on TV. Yeah. And at that time, that wasn't happening for grime music.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It was just like you're saying, you didn't even know what people look like because there was no way of knowing. Now, we totally take it for granted because there's Insta, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's all of these things where you can just go on, you just know what people look like because they're there in front of you. But at that time, that didn't happen.
No, YouTube wasn't even around when we first started, and it was we wanted to kind of educate people as well. So we had little sections. So you had producers telling you how to make beats, and because we wanted it to be as much as you wanted to know what they look like, some sort of content to let the kids know that they can get in it as well. Yeah. And that was kind of where it all kind of.
How old were you at that time? You must have been quite young when you were doing that.
I was about 19, I think.
So having that kind of insight as well to help other people, and was that your own curiosity? I want to know how they're doing it, or how
partly.
they're making those beats or whatever.
Yeah, partly it was, and it was partly to show others as well. Because if we got this in, then let's use it and show people what you can do, what you can achieve. And it was that was kind of the mentality. But like I said, being a fan helped a lot because obviously I wanted to know.
Yeah.
It was my way in. Like, I'd done DJing, and I did a warm-up set for EZ, and I had PSG and Creed on a set of mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, that's me with DJing done.
I made it.
Bigger than that. That's it. So this, like, picking up the camera was my way in to a scene. I'm not a spitter. I'm not a producer.
That was never going to happen.
Yeah. So I was
you
like,
weren't going to start spitting bars.
Yeah. So it was like, that was my thing. So being a fan helped, because like you said, you get that what you want to know.
Yeah.
So if I want to know it, others do.
Yeah.
And it gives you that instinct.
It's mad you saying that, because when I first like wanted to do stuff for Grime Daily and be in the grime scene and interview people, that's what my mindset was. I was like, but I wanted to know about people's personalities, because I was like, some of the stuff that I'd seen, like anything that was about at that time, which was like, you know, there was kind of YouTube a little bit there, but it was like, it was always done in a certain style, and I was like, no, they must have more personality than that. Like these are like, there must be like more there. I want to find out. Like, I want to go and talk to these people and have conversations with these people. And also I was like, I want to, like, I love this music, and I want to see these people represented in the same way they would be on TV, like on T4 or wherever, like people were interviewing people. So I wanted to go and interview them like in that style, put them on a spot, and just kind of like, so it was my own, it was what I wanted to see. And because it wasn't there, I thought, right, I'll go and see if I can make it.
And I think that's when it comes from the best place.
Yeah.
Because it's natural, like, intrigue, and it's not forced for a reason. Like, it's actual genuine kind of love and what you want to do. Yeah.
So you start off and you make these DVDs, and then you're selling the DVDs, and then obviously things start to progress, like the internet happens. How did you change with that? Because I don't know what camera you had that your nan got you, but it probably was just like a video camera. It wasn't DSLR cameras.
Nah, there was none of that then. It was like, the first camera that nan got me was like a camcorder, like one you would take on holiday.
Yeah.
That was my initial thing of getting into film. I never wanted to do filmmaking, or never knew what it really was, you know. It was like, we was just chancing it. And
just having a go.
I learned as I went along, taught myself to edit. And then after Risky Roadz 1, Risky Roadz 2 come around, and I got a better camera.
Yeah.
I got that one.
Oh, look, he's got it on his armlet.
Yeah.
There it is, the tattoo.
Yeah, so that one come around.
Bit of a game changer, that one.
Yeah, and it's like, from everyone, I think everyone who that camera's ever filmed has gone on to do something monumental.
Yeah.
And I pull it out every now and again and use it for, I did Skepta's videos, The Man, and It Ain't Safe, we shot on that. Wow. So every now and again, it gets a call to come and do something. And
that records onto like tape, not
tape.
SD cards. So then how do you edit, like what's the editing process for that? That's mad.
My old Mac and a FireWire cable, and I capture it. So you have to literally watch what you've recorded, and it goes into the computer. So everything's in real time. Where now you just drag it and drop it. Like literally, whatever you've shot, you have to watch back, and then it captures it in, and then you can do it.
It must take you back when you do that. If you use that now though, and like just use it. And
I miss it a little bit though, because I think that gives you, especially when I was doing the DVDs.
Yeah.
Because you have to watch it, you remember what you've shot.
Yeah.
And then when you come to the edit, it's like, oh no, he said that in there. And like, well, you remember it from the day. It's like reinforcing it.
Yeah.
So there's certain bits.
But also, when people see that an edited music video and it's about 4 minutes long, cool. But how many hours of footage did you have?
Yeah, it's mad. It's crazy. So like, I think for the Man video, we had like 3-4 hours maybe, 3 or 4 hours of tape. So yeah, it's like,
so you had to watch all of them back in,
you go back
in
through,
real time.
Yeah.
What was kind of like, could other people see what you were trying to do? So like at that time when you first started, did everyone get what you were trying to do and
Not
the
everyone.
importance of it?
Like a few friends was like, what are you doing that for? Like, they're not friends no more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But the ones who was around and got the vision, they got it. And my family was always really supportive.
Yeah.
Like really supportive. Like I was going places that I shouldn't have really been going to really.
And they were just like, yeah, it's cool. You're doing what you want to do.
Yeah, just be safe and go and do what you got to do.
And we know that your nan was as well.
Yeah.
And she was obviously proper cool, because you used to just have everyone around your house as well, right?
It was like, it was one of them places, my house. It's like, even to this day now, people still come around and chill. And there was like, even when I was DJing before the camera, used to have like, say like 3 DJs and a couple of MCs. We was all being in a bedroom, mixing and making tapes. And as it become filming, you got the MCs coming around to watch through footage and chill. Like there was a time when was doing the movement doc, and I was with the movement.
Mm-hmm.
The movement was constantly at my house. Like it was like
all
the meeting point. So we was always just there chilling.
Like the central point.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like now, I guess it's people who are like in the music scene. Some of them have become less accessible. Not saying to you, but to everyone else. But at that time, it was just like. It wasn't no one was making loads of money out of it. It was just everyone loved what they were doing and everyone did it because they loved it. They were passionate about it. It was this thing that was growing, that was new, that was fresh. And I guess like the same for you. It's like, did you ever think, oh, I can make money out of this? Or it was just about love?
It was just always the love of it, really. Like, because like you said, when we all started out, there wasn't we all just done it to kind of build something. Mm-hmm. And, the money was always like a secondary kind of thought because it wasn't that. It was literally like, I love this, gonna carry on doing it. And even now, to this day, like you still do things. If someone messages you with a project that you really want to do, and
he's looking at me, pointing at me.
No, like a video or like whatever. And if I want to do it, and I feel like it's something, then you do it. You know, like. And I think that's the difference where we've all grown up with each other. Yeah. Like. You help each other out and on a journey, and one of your mates could be a multi-millionaire now. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're just gonna be like, well, let's do this because, and then the money is never a thing, you know. It's always
friendship first, I guess, and that kind of connection and that kind of like that you've grown up with. But then there has to come a point because obviously, like you've got to live, like you've got to, survive and all of that kind of stuff. Was there ever a point when you were doing it and you got you got sick of it, or you thought like, I want to give up, or I could walk away from it, or?
It was like when YouTube came around. Yeah. Obviously, you got a business model of like Risky Roadz. You know, you can see where a business is. You get a product, you build a product, you can eventually, hopefully, sell it or whatever. There was like a business model. YouTube come out and it wasn't paying for anything. Right. Okay. But I'm at an age now where I've been in it for a while, so it's like I need to. I can't be doing nothing. I have a job. So then I got a job. I was a television editor. Okay. So I was juggling that with the music. Like I've always had a foot in the music, but it's all like the juggle was always hard. Like even now, to this point now, like I'm still a black cab driver as well as doing all the other stuff. So it's like the juggle is until you get to that point where, I don't know, you got big brand money or something and you whatever. You have to just keep going. You just got to, it gets hard sometimes. It does. You get a bit despondent sometimes because it's like, I want to do what I want to do all the time. I want to be living what I want to do. And it's not always like that. But it's weird because the music doesn't let you go. Yeah. Like I had a break for a little while and people would still call you and say, no, come back and do this or whatever. And I'm thankful for them things now because now like, I'm doing what I like doing, and I can see, it's kind of like I've got a vision now of where I really want to go with what it was again. You know, like, you get caught up in the middle. It's like, as a creative, you can get your down days. You don't know what to do or where to go with it. But I feel like over the last couple of years, I've got a real focus again, and I know where I want to take things. And even down with, like, YouTube, I ignored it for a long time, but I'm focusing on the channel. I want to build my channel up. Like, I've got a good team around me now. Like, my mate Del, known him for years. He come back around and he was like, I've got someone else there. Like, where for once there was a time when Sparky had he went off to live life, like he had kids. Yeah. So like Risky Roadz, I'm carrying the whole thing. And it gets tiring after a while. Yeah. Because it's like you with everything. And you know what it's like as well, you might trust someone to do something for you and it comes back and it ain't how you see it, and then it's like, I might as well just do it myself. And then you get caught up in that realm of doing yourself, and it comes a bit, and now I'm in a place where like I said, I've got a team around me that I trust, I've got a vision of where it needs to go, but it is that just keep going. And I've got good mates around me that wouldn't let you stop, or they'll have a moan at you for not doing what you're doing.
But that helps, doesn't it? Like when you've got those kind of that energy around you, those people around you, and they say to you like, you're missing in a sense, like you're like your energy or your influence or what you like you were bringing to the table is kind of missing.
Yeah.
Because when you're talking about that and like that kind of like being in a place where you kind of just lost your I want to say footings, but it's not that. It's like your balance. Like you're not sure where to go, and then you don't know where to put your energy. So you don't know where to start. So then you kind of just don't start anything, and you just stay in a place, and you're just kind of stuck there. But you really want to do something, and it's frustrating because you can see other people doing stuff, but you don't know what direction to go.
And it's like I always had like the music videos, but the music videos to me was something I just fell into.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy writing up a treatment, and I enjoy doing a video, but I like doing videos that. For songs that I like doing. That's why I done the cab thing, because it's like I didn't ever want to take a video just for money, not without having to like believe in the song or whatever, you know. And that was like the music video thing was there, but I've always got more to me than just that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I come up with ideas for things all day, like loads of different stuff all the time. But it was like, how can I get from just doing this to doing the other stuff? And that's where you, like you said, you get caught up in that. And you get people around you, like Gigs used to be one who's always on like, Roony, like come and do what you're doing, come and do this, or like Gets or Chip used to shout me for videos, and like Kane done Kane's ones for Made in a Manor. I've done like 4 or 5 off of that, and like I was lucky that I've got people around me. Like and Skep's another one as well. Was like always shout at me like you need to do this, and you have proper heart to hearts. Like I remember I had a proper talk with Skep once, and I was like, I don't know what to do to get to where I want to be. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, look what you've done. And he kind of reminded me, like, look, like, what, like, you know what I mean? Don't forget what you have done. Like, and them sort of things like that. They do, as a creative, they do make you think, you know what? No, he's right, you know? And then all of a sudden, something clicks, and then you get that drive back. And as soon as it's back, you know exactly what you're going to do, and you get all the ideas and stuff kick in. It's a mad, as you know as well, it's a weird kind of synergy in it with when you come out of something and get back in it.
And you have that direction again.
And it's like re-energising you, innit?
But it's funny because it's changed so much. Like the grime scene has changed so much. So it's kind of like you knew your place in it, and then it changes, and it's changed so quickly as well, and everything's happened as well. So it's not just like you personally. You then have to work out where you fit in again. Yeah. And how you can bring something to the table that's of benefit. Yeah. And I think like you saying as well, like, oh, I wouldn't do someone's video if I didn't believe, like, I don't want to just have to take videos and just do it for the sake of it, because obviously to you, your creativity is art. And I just feel like I got to a place where like I went through my own experiences, and I didn't want to do stuff that kind of felt pointless, that wasn't helping anybody or like bringing something to the table that could, like, you know, change things for other people or make a difference for other people. That's why we're here right now.
Yeah, no, I get that completely though, because it's like I didn't want to just get caught up in making things for the sake of making things. Like the things I want to do are things that I want to, like I believe in. Like I said, I've got ideas for all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And like certain little things with industry that's happened over the years, they do make you despondent. Like I come up with a couple of ideas and someone nicked them from development meetings and they've been made. And you get to that point, you think, oh, how many more times? Like, and you see these things, like, and it does get you like that. But then I suppose you have to use that to fuel you and say, no, well, if that's happened, then the ideas are good. Yeah. Like, so you have to kind of put a different spin on things.
Can you do that though? You have the ability to do that, because some people, if that happened to them, they'd hold a grudge. Yeah. It would annoy them so much, and then they'd just be like, do you know what, I'm not doing it anymore, and they'd give up and they'd walk away.
See, now I can. Yeah. Because it's like, well, it works then. Yeah. And I've got to that point like if that's gonna happen, then I'll still do it and make it better. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't tell me nothing, it's mine. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that attitude now where I think that's just come through experience.
Just go one up.
Yeah, and it's not that, like, it is that, like, don't give up. Yeah. Just keep going regardless of whatever, and just keep pushing, knocking the door. Like, even now, like, I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I'm on the way to there. Yeah. And you just have to keep knocking on doors.
I think it's really important as well that people are honest and talk about that, because there's kind of this thing where it's like, oh, people, we have social media, people like to paint like a certain lifestyle, like life is this and life is that, and like I know I've done loads of jobs like on the side to support doing what I want to do, because otherwise it's not it's not financially viable. No. You're doing it because you love it. And until it gets to a point where it's starting to make you money, you've got to pay bills, you've got to buy food, like you've got to be able to do all of those things. So you have to find like a way to be able to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know that there's like loads of like MCs that will be in that place, or there's like other creative people who will be in that place that are kind of like, you know, ashamed of the fact that they, you know, they're not actually making money out of the thing that they want to do.
That's why, like, even with my cab, I've never made it I've never hid it. Like, I'm proud of that as well. It's like one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, God.
But it's like, that gives me freedom because you work for yourself. I do, when I need to go and do that, I do that, and then that funds the other thing, like the whole YouTube channel, like building that up with like me and Del, we kind of fund everything ourselves at the moment. So it's like, I need to be earning somewhere. So the cab, but I've never hid the cab. Like, the cab's been in loads of videos and whatever, because like you said, there's people out there that might feel ashamed of having to have another thing, but you know what, it's life. Yeah. Everyone out there's got another hustle somewhere along the line, you know, until you get to where you need to go. And hopefully me putting that out there can help someone to think, you know what, right, like, you can do something else. And
but people, it also touches on, and I think what's really interesting is that kind of idea of investing in yourself, like spending your money not on stuff, but on yourself. And because sometimes it's like, for me, for quite a while, I was stuck in the no. Someone else, like, someone needs to give me the opportunity. Like, a bigger platform needs to give me the opportunity, and they need to let me do what I want to do on their platform. And I think this comes up a lot in the Joe Budden podcast, because obviously he's an example of it. You have to make it make your own platform, because then you don't need anybody.
It's true.
And this idea that, like, when you're earning money, you don't want to spend it on this thing that you say you really want. But it's like, no, like, it's the same with me doing this podcast. You know, you've like, the money that I make from a job, I then have to reinvest into making this, because A, I love it and I'm passionate about it, but B, that's how business works as well.
Exactly. It's true. It's that, that's the beauty of the cab for me, because like, I can think of an idea now, and where I've been in something for so long, you know, people that can pull it together for you. And it's like, well, let me go and just do it. And I had a big conversation with Giggs about this before, and he said to me, like, I hate seeing you roll up in the cab, although I'm proud that you've done it and whatever, but like, you should be doing this and whatever. And we had this big talk, and I said, like, at the time I was in this, like, let me try and pitch some of the ideas to places to get the funding to make them. And he said to me, like, he was like, but you can just do it. Why don't you just do it? And then that's when you work towards that. You know what? He's right. Let me just take what I'm doing. If it might, I don't know, it might cost me how many hours work, but let me just go and do it, because
it makes it worth it.
It does, because you've done it. You haven't. And you can do it to how you want it to be done, and it's an empowerment in itself. You know, like, you've achieved that. Like, when you watch this back, it's like, I've done that off my own back. That's me. And it's down to how you want it to be seen.
But how did you realise that? Like, how did you get to the point where you were like, right, okay, I've got to invest in myself? Like, what was it that made you realise that, rather than, because that space that we were talking about, where it's quite frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like everything got stripped back, and it was like, I want to carry on doing this, but what can I do to whatever? And Risky Roads was that, get up and go and do it. Yeah. And then again, like, the idea for the show that I come around, because I thought of the idea years ago. It was a way of, like, so I've seen my nan's personality with the artists over the years, and a thing of where, as a fan watching it, I feel that you get to see the artist as the artist really is, or I know them, because they're with a nan, you know what I mean? Like, and then there's someone they know, so it's like, it's a good synergy. So I thought, right, that's what I want to do. So I kind of took it to my mate who runs a production company, and they was like, well, let's just do it. And just getting off the back and doing it, now look where that is. And that's kind of propelled everything again. And that just shows the power of just doing something. So like, it's kind of like taking it back to the roots of what it is. And then so like, when I sat down with Louis, he see it straight away, come around my house, and he knows mum and nan, and he knows the artist as well. And he was like, let's just do it. And then, so now I've got like another team. So I've got like all these little like teams of people now around me that believe in what's going.
Different ideas as well.
We believe in things, and we can make it all happen. We all come together as one as well, because like we've all linked up and done other stuff, but literally that getting up and doing it yourself has now propelled everything all over again. So as well as the videos, I've got the channel that's running, Nan's thing that's running, other little things that are coming in. So like I've never, over the years, all of like doing this, finding talents and whatever, there was a time where I used to get wound up because it's like no labels ever come to me for like an A&R job.
Yeah.
Never been approached to do like brand adverts and that. Like no agencies come to me as a director. Like, you know, sometimes you think, wow, what's going on, kind of thing.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. Why ain't it kind of like, because that would be cool, because then that would get me to do what I'm doing. But nah, it's like I'm carrying doing these things, and then I've got like brands like, can you do an advert?
Yeah.
Like, so you start writing treatments for things like that, but it's all propelled again from Nan.
Yeah, because it all starts, but it's all timing, isn't it? It all starts to come together at different times, and I think it's really easy for us to kind of look around at other people and be like, oh, but they've already got there, or they've done this, or they've done that, or like this is happening for them, and then you start to feel a bit despondent because you're like, well, why hasn't it happened for me? Like, you know, I've put in as much work, or I've done as much of this. Like, what is it about me? But if you can work your way through those feelings to get back into your creative state,
that's when you can it just takes a while to like you have to train your mind really to quiet down things sometimes, because it can be hard, like, you know, as a creative, like you do get that despondency sometimes because it's like I really want to, but and
you feel like you can't because you need this or you need that, and that's not coming through, and not coming through,
because it's in you, but it takes a while to realize that, you know what, the power in it is who you are, not like this brand to come in and give you, like, don't get wrong, it's good, but if it doesn't, what are you going to do? So you have to just kind of find another way to path. Whatever.
You mentioned there, like, quieting your mind and getting to quieten down a bit. Do you have any like tools or techniques that you use to do that you've discovered that help you?
You know what, I'm quite spiritual, really. Like, I don't really meditate. I tried it a few times, but I feel like when I meditate, or I try to meditate as generic meditation, like sit down, my brain goes 100 miles an hour, and I can't. So I'm in a process now. Like, I suppose the cab's good for me, because when I'm driving, that's when I'm like, even just a drive when I'm not at work or whatever. Driving's my quiet down time, and sometimes I like to take myself away and just chill, and then that opens up creative stuff. So I like to write. Like, as I said before, when I was in hospital, it's really weird because I'm in hospital. I'm not like, but the time before they did my operation, when I went in there, I used to take a notepad, because they would, before they was operating, they used to keep me in there for like 5 days to monitor my stomach, and I couldn't eat or nothing for 5. But in that, because there's nothing else going on, I used to think of all these, and I think, right, that'd be good. And then all ideas come. So I'm kind of one of them. If I take myself away, I can work into that kind of mode.
It's funny, I'm laughing because when I've done like silent meditation retreats, and when you talk about you in that 5-day run up to like having the operation in hospital, it's almost like that, because all you're allowed to do is write. Like, you can't watch TV, you can't have your phone, nothing. So you just got like pen and paper, and obviously you're doing meditation stuff, but the rest of the time you're on your own, and where you don't have like the distractions around you that you'd normally use, or you don't have all the people around to kind of like talk to and vocalize things. Loads of stuff comes into your head, and you kind of, so it's interesting, because I think there's this focus on, when it comes to spirituality and it comes to meditation, that things should be done in like a traditional sense, or, you know, that you should, you know, sit in the lotus position. That's what people think of when they think of meditation. Course, but
I can't do that.
No, but actually I find that when I speak to people, they have their own ways that they've found. So they've taken, I guess, the philosophy and theory of like meditation, of stuff from spirituality, but then made it their own.
No, that's I'm kind of like that. Like, late at night, my brain creatively comes into, so I know, I'm aware of that. So it's like, now if I start to be like that, I just sit with it, like, and I listen to what I'm feeling or whatever. Like, every now and again, like, I'll have like, I can wake up with a mad urge to, I want to take photos. And I start watching photography docs and start reading books about photography and things like that. Or so that next day I have to go out, and even if I take the camera and just take a couple shots, you never know what's going to come from that. And I kind of, that's kind of like a spiritual thing, I suppose, in a sense, because it's like your body's telling you need to do something, or something's telling you need to do something. And I started reading a bit more as well. Like I read a few books that kind of changed
the way. What they are?
The Alchemist.
Yeah.
One of my favourite books.
Yeah.
And then I read this other book. It's really deep. It's called The Disappearance of the Universe.
Okay.
Real, like, mad deep. Yeah. And it's kind of, it tells you, like, essentially, right, it says, like, the meaning of life in a way. But it's like your brain already knows it when you're reading it. And it's like, when you're reading it, you get to a point, it's like your brain knows, but it's not letting you have it all at once. It's like, go sleep.
Yeah.
And then you wake up, you want to read a bit more, and it's sleep again. And then you hit this point, and it's like, right, all right, it makes sense. And you just go for it. Yeah. But it's like, the book's basically saying that everything in life's a forgiveness lesson. So things that ain't going your way, I think if you can forgive yourself for thinking that they're not going, changes your whole outlook on, because once you've forgiven it, it goes and something else comes in. It's kind of a strange analogy, but it
makes sense.
It changed my whole way of thinking.
What made you start looking and reading those kind of books in the first place?
It's like that thing inside you of that, you know, I'm a person where I love being creative and I love doing all that and I love learning. And if I'm not feeling right in myself, then I need to learn something about myself. And that was what it kind of come from. Not that I don't suffer from depression, but you have phases of low moments. And I think that's a creative trait. Like you can have them low times. And I wanted to know a little bit more why and how I can stop it, because nothing productive happens in that time. It's like, and I suppose that kind of search into things, and but I am quite spiritual. Like, even now, I've got like crystals around my neck. You know, like,
what crystal is that one?
Citrine.
Okay, and what's that for?
Like positivity and creativity, and like I kind of, it's like abundance. Yeah, that's like one of the. Like, it's like a real positive stone, but I wear it all the time. Yeah, and that was like things like that I've just learned, and diet change, going gym. Yeah, like just completely changed my whole self.
Taking care of your body as well. It's so interesting to hear you talk as well. And this is like, when I think about why I started the podcast, this is one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, because I know, like, when it comes to like yourself, when it comes to loads of like to MCs, to rappers, there's loads of them that have this side to them that they don't have like a space to discuss it. And it's so important, because these are the things that change your life, and these are the things that give you the power to create what you want to create. And I know for a fact that the people that are super successful have all used these tools and these mindsets. They all have them. Like sometimes, like, you know, someone will drop a little tweet, or you know, like Gigs does it sometimes, or just say something about, you know, whether it's about manifestation or about the power of your mind or whatever. But I feel like it's about giving people more than that, like the books that you've read, or the tools that you use, that you've utilised, that actually change your, because it's not like, you know, it's like finding peace with like hearing you talk, and you're driving your cab, and that's making you enough money to put into the things that you want to do, but you know where it's going. You have this idea, you have this, ultimately you have this belief in yourself, and the frustrations and that kind of despondency then dissolves, and it's about you and your journey, and it doesn't matter about anybody else, because there is enough to go around and there is enough for everyone. But it's just mad. There's loads of books that I've read as well, and when you start reading spiritual books, for me, some of the concepts seem like, to my logical mind, I'm just like, what the fuck is this? You know, like the logical mind's like, no. Of course, but like you say, there's part of you that recognises truth in it. Yeah. So even when I first started reading those books, and my logical mind would be like, well, this is bollocks. Like, this is just, there was still part of me that kept going, and kept reading. And then when I finish one book, I pick up the next book, and then I pick up the next book. And I remember there's a guy called Dr. Wayne Dyer. Okay. And he's written like loads of books. He died like probably about 3 or 4 years ago. But I really, with his words, I really resonated with what he said, and I read like loads of his books. And actually, I had a book of his. This happened to me twice. So I had a book of his called "Stop the Excuses" that I brought and never read, because I thought at this point I didn't really know much about spirituality. But I thought that "Stop the Excuses," I thought it was going to be about like I don't know. I thought it would just be about how to stop smoking. I brought it because I liked the title of it, but then I was like, I don't know. Someone else gave me an audio book of his, right? And I remember putting it on, and he was talking about how like when you're in traffic and there's like a slow old grandma in front of you, and you start getting really angry and really annoyed, that actually like that in itself is a lesson for you to kind of slow down. Like, so it was like all of this, and I was like, this is a load of shit. So I took it out, put it in my car, and I swear I didn't put it back in and listen to it again probably about 3 years. And when I listened to it, I was like, by that time I'd read loads of books, like my perception changed, and I listened to it and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Like, why did I not get this before? Like, this is brilliant. And then I listened to it every day for probably about 6 months. I was just like, what was I thinking?
It's mad. It's just like, that's, I suppose, the universe saying you weren't ready for it then.
Yeah.
So, like, leave it alone, park it off, and then it comes back when you're supposed to. Like, but they are, them books, they do find you when I feel like they're supposed to. Yeah. But
that's why it's so interesting to hear people's stories of like how they discovered them or how they picked them up or who it was that told them about that particular book. There's a book called The Celestine Prophecy or Celestine Prophecy.
I'm listening to it at the moment.
Oh, yeah. So when I read that book, that was what made me go travelling in South America.
Okay.
So after I read that, there was something about me that's like, I want to go to now I want to go to South America. Like, I need to go there. There's something, like, energetically, I was like, I need to go there. So then, that was like one of the biggest driving forces between deciding like where I went. It was always going to be there because I'd read that book.
Yeah, it's mad because my things like, my dad went to India. He's been a few times.
Yeah.
He does like the ashrams.
Yeah.
So he would tell me certain things, but it's like I would know them already.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then I would take things to another and then find bits of information and whatever and work it through like that. But that's how like the books that I've found. But like you said, it's the people that you surround yourself around as well. Like gigs and all that. They are very like put it out there, and then it will come back to you. And that's what you need to kind of surround yourself with. And that title of that book that you just said as well, when you are in that phase of like you feel a bit low, your body does make an excuse. I can't do that because I can't do that because, but it's just you stopping yourself. And until you realise that, then you're stuck.
Realise the power of mind, because I think sometimes people look at like successful people who are doing things that they want to do, and they don't understand that it's not about the physicality, it's about your mental state.
It is.
And I had a guy on my show called Richard Riatpur, who's a boxer, and he said that he thinks that I think he said 80% mental and 20% physical, but someone else said to me they think it's 95% mental, 5% physical, and that's for something where your body is your tool, that it doesn't matter how like fit or strong or agile or fast you are, if your mind isn't in the right place, if you don't believe it's possible, it's just not possible.
It's not possible, it's true, and that is the truth as well. And then even down to when other things, like say when you're doing something, I suppose it's like the same for you. Before you're doing something that you care about, unless I'm like nervous in my brain, like not nervous like, oh, I hope I can do this, but you know that apprehension of I can't wait to get it done, I hope it goes all right, like, then I know I don't care about it. If that ain't in my head, then I don't care. And if you don't care, then so I don't know, it's just being aware of what your brain and your body is telling you, I suppose, in that kind of intuition. Times. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and being switched onto it.
Yeah, like, and I'm creative in all kind of things. Like I like art.
Yeah,
massive art fan. And then like even like looking at art and buying art or finding art, that I suppose in a way is meditative. Yeah, it's like I like looking at it, and then that opens up another thing. But not a lot of people like talking about things, and that's where things like this is good, because you can open up and say that you like something that 90% of people might not like. Like, how many years ago would people say that they was vegan?
Yeah, without people being like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like it's becoming like the most common thing out there, and why? Because it's better for you. You know what I mean? It's like one of them kind of processes, but it's.
How important do you think it is, especially like for men, like, and I guess, well, not, it doesn't even matter if they're young men, but men, to talk honestly and openly about, like, I guess, like, I don't want to call it mental health, because I think everyone's on a mental health spectrum. Mental health is just, it doesn't mean you've got issues, it's just your mental health, like your physical health, you know, like it's the same thing. But how important do you think it is, and why is it still like so?
I'm quite lucky because my mum and my nan brought me up.
Yeah.
So I've always been if you got a problem, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we get older now, even as men, even me and my mates now, if there's something bothering us, like we'll talk.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get they'll give you a bollocking or whatever, or like pick yourself up, stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
Another time they give you like the compassionate shoulder. But I think more now, as I've got older, like around the age I'm at now, we speak quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the younger that you can start talking through your stuff, you don't carry things.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where a lot of problems sometimes lie. Like I've seen it, and when I've done it even myself. When you do have a time where you don't want to talk about something, you hold on to it. That needs to release somewhere along the line and come out, and might not come out in the most positive way. it needs to, So I think the more that people can feel comfortable and talk quicker in a younger age, it's an important thing, because you learn things off of people. Sometimes it's not always talk when you're in a room. Sometimes listen, because people do actually, like, you find things up about people. That might be like a throwaway comment someone says, or they think is throwaway, but that could be the most vital thing that you needed to hear. So like, I think like communication and talking and being around the right people, it's vital.
It's interesting you say that, and you say like you've got friends that you've always been able to be honest with and stuff, but there is still this kind of stigma that's showing like having emotions as a male is like weak, or saying I don't feel great today is the sign of weakness, and you've got to be strong and tough at all times. But I think actually that kind of front of being strong and tough, that's weak.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to hold it together, you're pretending to hold it together, but like you say, there's all of that stuff going on.
It's braver to tell someone you got something not right.
Yeah.
I think, because it's like, it's easy not to say nothing. If you can actually pick up a phone and tell someone, then that's way harder, I think.
Yeah.
But then you'll feel better for it. And then 90% of the time, you could talk for 2 minutes and be like, oh, what was I even worried about? It's stupid anyway. And it's out. But I think you hold them things in, they just like rot you up.
Definitely. And also having like these kind of conversations, like it could be, say for example, like I've met you before, and maybe it's not appropriate at that time to have that conversation, but we could have just had conversations about superficial stuff, about your career or like what you're doing at the moment or whatever, and I would never have known that you were like a spiritual person, because, excuse me, I just burped. I suppose it's not something that you're not necessarily like broadcasting it to the world, not because you're ashamed of it or you don't want to, but it just hadn't come up in conversation. But once you start to have those conversations, actually you find out that more and more people are like switched on in that way. Or like you say, when you start to talk to people about spirituality, that there is something in them that recognises that as truth and then wants to know more about it. Yeah,
definitely, because it's one of them things. I think spiritual and religious are two completely different things. And I'm more like, I believe in God. I don't believe in a religion.
Yeah.
Like I'm very much like, I'm spiritual in that sense. And the world teaches you things, and like you can't keep hearing all these things about like, like the universe, manifestation, ask for it, and it not be true. But you just have to work out how to make it work for you, I suppose. That's the journey of life, isn't it? And learning how to make these things work for you. But that book that I read, that Disappearance of the Universe, that was a big kind of like, for me, that, oh yeah, that's what you've been doing, like it was that moment. If I told you about it now, it would sound bonkers if I was out on the podcast talking about like what is it actually in the book. You think he's a nutcase, like you said.
I wouldn't.
But like,
other people,
would, like you're saying, that logical part of your brain. What this book's telling you is like, oh, you've lost the plot, mate. But once you've read it, you understand it, and then you apply certain things of it. It's like, no, it was the truth then. Yes, Brandon, read it. Trust me.
I'll definitely read it. I think it's one of those things that I learned from, the more I learned about spirituality, is when I started to say to everyone, you do realise that what we think is sane is insane, and what you think is insane is actually sane.
Yeah.
because we like when we read that stuff, it's kind of like, oh, that's like hippy dippy nonsense, or it's like, but it is,
but
it's tarnished with
that.
Of
course it is,
but it's been around for centuries or thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Like, and when you read it, there is something about yourself that recognises it as truth. Like, it can't just be made up. And like even some of the books that I read about. I haven't been to India, but I've spent times at yoga schools and stuff that I read that are transcripts with some like Indian gurus, and it could be from like 200 years ago or whatever. But like if you, to some people, if you read them, they'd be like, "What the hell is this person talking about? Like, this is nuts. This is actually nuts." But then you're like, "Oh my God, it makes so much sense," and it just like it can completely change your outlook on everything. And I think it's that idea of being like an insular, like you think of yourself as like one little person, and everything's happening, it's happening to you, so it's all like, the world is against you, there's all this bad stuff happening in the world, someone's done this to me, someone's left that comment on my Instagram, someone's done this, someone's done that. But when you start to, and the way I try and explain it is like, if you like when you get further away from it, so when you come like if you came off the earth and then you get further and further away into the universe and you're like looking down on it, like none of it actually matters.
It's true.
Now people listening to this are like, what is she talking about? What is she talking about? But for me, my thing is that I'm here as like I'll be here again. Like this is my belief. Other people might not believe me, but that I've chosen to be here to experience life, because it's all about growth.
I feel like I could tell you now a little bit more about
that. She's like, she's on the same level as crazy as me. It's fine.
So that book basically is like, it says that we're all one energy, It's like God's created us. We're all one energy. We're God, God's us. Like the energy is all the same, And then in heaven or whatever it was, we had a thought of like you doubted something, like you there was a little second of doubt that created a separation from God and us as an energy, and then we're here. So like now, it's like weird. There's loads of different. It says in this book that you live loads of different lives, and they're all forgiveness lesson. So like in one life you might have something, in another life you might have something else, but you forgive it, learn, and then when you get back as a whole, when that question's answered, then you're back. It's like a weird. I probably haven't described it in the best way.
No, but I know what you mean.
But
I know what you mean. It's
like that separation created this, and then while you're here, everything's like a lesson.
Yeah, everything is a lesson. That's all. And when you start to look at it like that, you stop to take it so personally. You're like, what can I learn? What can I learn from this? Like even, and I know, like I still get upset about like people say, when I've had therapy, it's like you've got post-traumatic stress syndrome from losing your mum at a young age and the way that it happened and all of that kind of stuff. And there are still times where, as a human person, I get emotionally drained and I lose my shit, and I will always end up crying because I miss my mum. And I'm 36, and I'm still like, I miss my mum. Like I want my mum back. And it's just that being attached to that humanness. However, when I because that's like an emotional. I think in yoga they talk about the different bodies. So it's like the emotional body and being in that and being attached to that. But then there's so much learning in that. Like from that experience has come so like for me has made me who I am, has made me have the life experience that I've had. And without it, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this. And there is so much learning, like and then losing my sister that comes from death. Because when someone dies, I'm like, that's it. They're good. But it's the people that are left behind. So if you're not going to take that negative and make it positive, then what's the point? What's actually the point? Because I could just, there's people that have been through a million times worse things than me and still make their lives positive. Or on the flip reverse, I could just give up and be like, I give up. But I don't want it.
You're kind of living to make them proud as much as you are for yourself as well. And they're always there. And that's the kind of other sense of it that, like when I talk to my nan, my nan's really spiritual and whatever. Like, she's always like, but they're always there. So talk to them. Like, I talk to my granddad all the time and things like that, and knowing that sometimes, and you kind of, like you said, you can either go one way or the other. You've used it in a way where it's like, no, I'm going to go and change it, and it's kind of like, then you've got other people in your corner as well. They're not here no more, but they are, because they're still rooting for you. It's kind of knowing that in yourself as well puts you at peace, and so that death's a mad one, and But it's how people
it happens
deal
to
with
all
it
of us.
after.
Though.
I know, yeah.
And I think that's like one of the biggest things for me has been like, why aren't we better prepared for death? Like, why don't we like talking about it? Why is it so scary? Why can't we have conversations about it? Because then when someone does die, people treat you like, I don't know, like you've got the plague or something. Like they just avoid you. They don't want to be in contact with you. They don't know how to deal with you. And all you've got to do is just like, I'm a normal person, just have a conversation with me. But I think because it makes them feel uncomfortable, because they're uncomfortable with the concept of death or the idea of death, no one wants to talk to you about it. So it feels even more isolated than you actually are, because no one wants to talk about it. And so I think it's like, why do we talk? We talk about birth loads because it's supposed to be happy, and then death is sad, apparently. So we don't talk about it. But if we did and we were better geared up for it, then when it happened, it wouldn't be such a huge thing. Because now I've turned that into a positive thing, but it destroyed my life. Like the first part of my life was just a complete chaotic madness, like an actual madness, for so long, because I didn't even know what grief was. I don't think I even knew until I was like in my early 20s that there was such a thing. So it's just like, as humans, we don't like to talk about death, but I think if we did, it would make us embrace life a lot more.
I think that's why I think like I said, my dad's a counsellor now as well. He's done like a lot of grief counselling for people and things like that, and I think people knowing that them sort of things are available now make things easier for that person, because some people can't hold and they have to talk about things like that, and it's all new stuff. And I think this whole spirituality kind of thing that everyone's on at the moment, and the diet and the better eating, people becoming more aware now that they have never been before, you know, like, and people want better for themselves, and they're learning if something's not right, then let me change it. Like, even someone told me once that, like, even down to like the word disease, it's like dis-ease in your body, like why is it not at ease?
It's like imperfect is I'm perfect as well. Like when you start to look at language and how it's used, it's really interesting. So interesting.
And then that changes your mindset. And I think you have to be like, these are the books that I'm trying to learn now as well, like with it, is how you speak. Because what you speak attracts. Are
you reading the 4 Agreements?
I haven't heard about that one.
4 Agreements. By Don Miguel Ruiz, I think that's his name. Sorry if I've got it wrong, but it's and the first one is like the power of word and how important it is, because and the fact that I've got on my fingers a tattoo that says I am that I am, because I am is synonymous with God. So it's like when you say I am tired, or I am angry, or I am stupid, or I am lazy, like those words carry like a really low energetic frequency, but when you speak life into yourself, you have to say things like I am great, I am, you know, so but that I am is so powerful that you have to be so careful with how you use it. So that's kind of like, but that's Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it says that as well. And I've started doing it recently. So I woke up the other day and I was like, I feel really great today. Like, you know, you have a day where you're just like buzzing, you've got loads of energy. And I just went on voice notes and I recorded like 2, the maddest voice. If people listen to them, they'd be like, oh my God, they'd also think I was mad for that. But first of all, what I did was I wrote loads of affirmations, which normally I don't. I just copy them from other people. And I'm like, that kind of fits, that'll work. But I suddenly had loads in my head. So I was like, right, I'll write these all down. And then I recorded myself a voice note. And then I did the affirmations in the voice note. So if I listen to them, they're there. And then I'd done that one and I got out to my car and I was like, no, mate, I feel really good. Like, I just need to capture this energy in a voice note. So next time I don't feel like this,
you play that.
I can play that next time. And it's my own voice reminding me of who I am, what I am, and what I'm here to do.
Them things are like, even down to like, in this one thing I was reading, and it's like when someone says to you, how are you today? If you turn around and say, I'm great, your body automatically is like, I am great, you know. Like, if you say whatever, then it becomes that. And little things, and like even some people, I think you get from how you treat other people as well. Like you might go into a coffee shop. How many times you go into a coffee shop and you see the person being like proper rude to the person behind the counter? If you turn around and say to that person, oh, how's your day? You all right? They look at you sometimes like you're mental because you're asking them a question. But then when you leave, that person's so much happier because someone's paid them attention. It's the small things, I think, that you get from, you just do things and just to become a better person, you know what I mean? And that word is monumental, because we do sometimes Like, so shit on ourselves in word, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think the body has, I can't remember what they're called, but it's got like little receptors everywhere that listen to what's being said or what's being said in the mind. So it's even when you're talking about words affecting your physiology, it's also like your beliefs and your thoughts that affect your physiology.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, like someone when there's like, they're thinking, I'm so tired, like their shoulders could be hunched over, or if they're depressed or they're whatever. Yeah. But as soon as they start to think something good, you'll actually see their like the shoulders go back, they start to sit up straight. And it's this thing where one can come before the other. So you can either think more positively and your physiology will change, or change your physiology and your thoughts will change. So just start smiling if you're feeling crap. Or if you're not feeling confident, start walking with your shoulders up. Walk like a confident person, and that energy will kind of flow. So they both feed each other because they're connected. They're not two separate things. The mind and body are like... It isn't the mind. We all think of it as being where the brain is, but the mind is throughout the whole body.
It's true, and it's like they're things that you learn through experience. Like someone could tell you it all the time, like, oh, this is what you got to do, but even now you're still learning. Like, still learn things all the time. Like we were saying, your words and your everything, your posture, the way you carry yourself, everything about what you do in day-to-day life is like a training process to get back to what you feel that you know that you should be like. Yeah. And I've come kind of like, even now, like, gratitude's a big one. Mm-hmm. Saying that you're thankful for the things that you like, rather than sitting there thinking, oh, I haven't got. Sit there and think what you have got. This is what you've got. Mm-hmm. It kind of like, and another one as well. I've only ever read the beginning of this book, but I felt like reading the beginning of the book, I knew everything I wanted from the book, and I'm done with it. If that makes sense. Like, I knew what the rest of it would be. Is that Eckhart Tolle, Power Now? Yeah,
I've read that.
So it's like,
and The New Earth is very good as well.
So it's like, I know that what it's told me, don't live in the past, don't live in the future, live now. Now are you okay? Is your brain or like everything? It's like, all right, cool, I got what I want from that.
I got that now is all we ever have, and I was like, how does that work? Because I can tell you about tomorrow, but I can't take you to tomorrow until it comes. And I can tell you about yesterday, but I can't take you back there. So there is only ever now. And I think the problem with so many of us, and I am the person for this, is that you carry your past and you allow your past to affect your future. And that's in the way that you think and the way you believe, because those things are kind of there. So you have to start with those, and you have to stop. It's like, oh, because one person's treated me like this in the past, you're going to do the same thing, or because this has happened in the past, that's going to happen, or because someone said this to me, it's still true in this situation. So it's kind of like that. The power of now is letting go of all of that and being conscious in this present moment now.
And that's like that inner child thing, isn't it? If something happens to you as a kid, you hold on to it sometimes as going forward. And it's learning to get rid of all that stuff and just saying, no, I'm cool.
Learning about parts integration. So I'm doing a life coaching course, everybody. And the thing that I've just learned about is parts integration, which is really interesting because we have these parts of us that come from, they might come from another time, but they're in disagreement. And this is what I have. So it's like, you might have a part of you that's kind of like, that you were talking about, when you, something happens to you, and rather than expressing it, you hold on to it, so you've stored it. So for example, there's like a part of me that's still like a child and upset about my mum dying, and really believes that I can't have what I want, because what I want is my mum back. But now I'm a grown up and I know that that's completely untrue, and I know that I can have what I want, but that other part still conflicts. So they're in conflict, so you have to integrate the parts so that you can then move past it and not. And I was thinking, why do I feel like this? What is this feeling? But now I realise it is that it's conflict, it's internal conflict, because there's these two conflicting beliefs happening.
And I get that. So I think my one's impatience.
Because
I know what all I'm capable of.
And you want it now.
I don't want to show everyone what I'm capable of. I want everything to happen now, and it don't always work like that. So it's like the impatience in me creates that kind of like.
Which almost does that immobilise you though? Because sometimes it stops you from being so creative because you're feeling that impatience.
It can do sometimes, but it's like, I kind of learnt that I know I'm being impatient now.
So you now can talk yourself down.
It says like, well, it's coming anyway. So when it comes, it's coming. Just, you got to be ready for the next bit.
Just
so
chill.
Like, just hang on, and then you'll be all right. Like,
enjoy now as well. Sometimes you don't. You're
part
so
of the journey is the fun part.
Next.
The journey is the fun part. Sometimes, like, you always want the end goal, but the journey's cool as well. But you do have days where you get a little bit like despondent and impatient or whatever it is, but it is that learning, knowing that it's happening, and as soon as you can recognize it in yourself, you can change it for the better, rather than it like. There was times when I stopped doing music for it was a little while, but a couple of years.
Yeah.
Life took over. Like there was life situations and whatever, and I missed it badly.
Yeah.
But I was just, thank God, fortunate enough to have the people around me, and I could come back in.
Yeah.
And they brought me back through and called me to do things, but I've learned a lot in that journey of whatever it is. Like I said, you still have your days where you get a little bit, but I'm a better person for it now because I can understand it in me.
Yeah, and you can see it. You're aware of it, so you know it's there. You don't blame it on other people or on circumstances.
Exactly.
You know it's your responsibility.
You can ask people.
Yeah.
Or talk to people or what's this or whatever and
get an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the main thing of this is. But creatives as a whole, on a whole, I reckon, suffer from the peaks and troughs because it is that kind of industry. But when you're in a trough, it's hard to get out sometimes because that creative part of your brain stops working. You can't be creative and
so you feel like you're stuck
low.
there, at the same time.
That's where it's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna. And then the more you learn about yourself, the more you change, the more things. Make sure, even down to the food you eat.
Yeah.
Eat better food, you think better.
It's mad, isn't it? It's all there. What would be your top 3 pieces of advice for anyone that's listening to this who is like, who considers themselves creative, or just, you know, like someone who isn't maybe feeling that great, or just whatever, really?
Just one of my big ones I always say is carry on regardless. Like keep going. If you believe in something and something's for you, just keep going. Like you might not get there. That might take 10, 12, 15 years. But if you believe in it, keep going for it.
Yeah.
Another one's probably talk. Like we were saying before, that's pretty important. Just understand yourself as well. Because I think if you can get to a point when you're happy in your own company, no one can stop you from doing anything.
Yeah.
Once you're happy in self.
Yeah. Game changer.
That is, completely. Because you don't need anyone then. Well, you don't need anyone because it's nice to have people. But you kind of, if you're happy in your person, that's proper empowering. And it's not much more powerful than that, I'd say.
No. Yeah. That's 2, but that will do, I think, because they were both proper.
Yeah.
Roony, thanks so much for being here. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
I forgot what my podcast's called. Help Yourself podcast. I was like, what is this podcast called that I'm doing again? I've got no clue. It's been like, it's madly insightful, and now I feel like
I spoke about things I've never really spoken about. So
I feel like I'm your new best friend now. That's it. We're going to go on a meditation retreat. If you have loved the podcast, please make sure if you're watching it on YouTube that you like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio, make sure that you review it. Tell us what you love about it, and join us back for the next one. Thank you.
Cheers.
To Roony.
Hey.